The Folk Tales of the Mountain Backdu. Hello, I am Dr. Chae-Jinhong. I have been studying Korean literature, writing novels, short stories, and poems for more than 50 years. And I also taught Korean literature and Korean to students for more than 30 years. Now, I am the old storyteller living beneath the mountain Derkyu. Taking advantage of that experience, I would like to take this opportunity to tell many viewers about the folk tales of the mountain Backdu over the next 39 times. In these stories are included the aspects of the Korean ancient people's life of the mountain Backdu and their emotions. Nowadays, the Korean people think that the mountain Backdu is the source of the national spirit. Now, let's go and enjoy ourselves by reading and listening this story and make our lives more affluent. And in special, these contents, with English subtitles in the Korean version and Korean subtitles in the English version, can be valuable learning resources for students studying Korean or studying English. Thank you very much. The main reference book that I took is the traditional story of the mountain Backdu published in Youjoongsanin. Please press buttons of the subscription, the good. It is a big boost for our production team. Today, I am going to tell of the story of the Cheonji. A long time ago, there were peaceful villages beneath the mountain Backdu in Korea, in which the grain was ripening well in sunlight, fishes were swimming freely in the river, birds were singing, and cubs were playing in the mountain. But unfortunately, as a dark dragon saw these peaceful scenes out of envy, the people in these villages suffered hard. One day that black dragon flew high up to the sky and got on the cloud and were flying from this village to that village and stopped the streams of water with his fire sword. Grain and leaves were dried up. Fields cracked from this terrible drought like as that of a spider weaved its web. The final outcome of this suffering was an invitation of powerful man, who village people called his name Mr. Okjangcheon, and they fought against a terrible drought with him. The village people were digging ground out all day long with various tools day by day, and its sound was gone out into heaven, and at last they found the source of well. When they saw the spout of water from that well, they began to dance and dance joyfully. But their joyance was not holding on long. As soon as they went back to their homes, the black cloud covered the sky, and there were flashes of lightning, and many trees were caught up in the gust of wind. The mountain where placed the well source was broken down, and the gust of wind flew large rocks through air like as to do the fallen leaves, and the stream of the well was covered with them. At last, it changed the mountain of the well source into a rock mountain. The women cried and the men sighed for this sorrowful event that had happened abruptly in the presence of them. Oh no, no. How can we stop the magic power of the black dragon? Here and there, their deplorable sound went out. At that time, Okjangcheon, who had been sitting on the rock with closing his mouth firmly, made his blood boil and got up with saying, "Ah, how vexing," and kicked the rock in front of him. So, that large rock was broken up to pieces in the air by his bitter resentment bursting out of his heart. People came together before him and blew the ground with their fists and said, "It is certain that we shall leave for seeking a way to make a living." Okjangcheon's two eyes were filled with tears and he grasped at their hands with his two tough hands.
"Do as you like. As you see, this man, me, cannot overwhelm the black dragon. So I won't keep you any longer.
People left one by one. He sat down on the rock with a thud and covered his head with his hands for pain. At this time, a pretty princess appeared to him. Bakjangsu watched her in surprise and suddenly stood up and bowed down to her.
Oh, Your Highness, why do you come to this dangerous village? Please, escape out of this place.
But she smiled brightly and said to him with her soft voice like a wind blowing in the spring,
The heaven knows that you devoted yourself to find the source of the well. I want to make my contribution for your sincere heart, although I have a little ability. Last night, when I fell asleep, the rainbow that had been in harmony with 7 colors came to my garden, and the old man who was in white robe and with a gold stick made a visit to me. I bowed to him politely, and he said to me, As I am the hermit in heaven, I have some words to tell you. For this reason, now I am here, in front of you. Because a black dragon stopped the streams of water in villages beneath the mountain Backdu, Bakjangsu took the lead for digging the well with the village people and searched every valley for the streams of water in the mountain Backdu. But his ability could not overcome the black dragon's power. If he wants to defeat the black dragon, he must drink the water of the well, the Okjangcheon, for 100 days. This is the duty of your country, so you must inform him this thing. The hermit disappeared shaking his gold stick, and when I awakened, I knew that it's the dream. So I am here with you now. Sir General Back.
Oh, Your Highness.
Thanks a lot. Please, let me know the place where Okjangcheon is.
Let's go together.
The princess took Bakjangsu toward the Okjangcheon. On the way, when they met the deep valley, then she flew over it freely, and Bakjangsu admired such this ability of princess. They walked and walked for 3 days, crossing mountains and rivers, and stopped in front of a high cliff that had a sharp inclination. Bakjangsu found the well situated at the bottom of cliff and saw the water stream spouting from it and shouted for joy.
Ah, it is just the Okjangcheon, isn't it?
The princess smiled a bright smile and nodded to Bakjangsu. Then he ran down to the bottom of a cliff and threw himself on the ground by the well and drank the water vigorously as if he could dry off the well at a breath. The princess, who was seeing this scene with smiling, went out like a wind, saying that,
After 100 days, I shall come again to this place.
Bakjangsu was tenting by the cliff, and he was drinking water of the Okjangcheon unceasingly for 100 days. At the 99th day, his body was full of vigor and he could easily handle the large rocks like as did the small commies. That night, as the princess came to him, he was so glad as to snatch the princess's 2 hands with shouting for,
Princess!
Princess smiled brightly with looking at the Bakjangsu's face and said,
You have been having much the hard time.
At the next day, the 100th day, Bakjangsu, after finishing the last drinking water of the Okjangcheon, climbed up the summit of the mountain Backdu and began to dig the ground out with a large shovel. His power and shovel were so great as to make one peak to stand up high whenever he shoveled one shovelful soil and threw it to the air at the summit of the mountain Backdu. He did it 16 times to the east, west, south, and north, and in accordance with this, 16 peaks was shooting up one by one. After all, from the bottom hollowed out by Bakjangsu, the huge column of water soared high up in the sky. Bakjangsu and Princess hugged each other because they were too delightful to feel shame. After a while, Bakjangsu was embarrassed and turned the princess loose and bowed down upon his knees to the princess.
Oh, Your Highness, I committed an impoliteness. I could not restrain myself for great joy. Forgive me, please.
Oh, come on, stand up, please.
During this saying, her cheeks became rosy a little. Just at that moment, a raging wind arose heaven and earth, and black clouds covered the sky in an instant, because the black dragon that had been playing rushly in the East Sea took a notice of the huge column of water gusting from the summit of the mountain Backdu. The black dragon came back rapidly to this place.
Who made that spouting of water? I shall pay back that guy right away with my sword.
Brandishing with his fire sword, the black dragon roared in a voice of shaking the earth. Bakjangsu, who took the white cloud, fought back it with his huge sword, the Mankyondo, without a dread. The white cloud had no sooner collided against the black cloud than a thunder roared and made the sky quake. The black dragon that was brandishing the fire sword seemed to be a mass of flames, and the Bakjangsu, who was brandishing the Mankyondo, seemed to be a ball of silver. This sword fight could be hardly finished, but the princess, who had been watching their actual fighting and seeing which way the wind blows, drew short swords at Black Dragon consecutively. Those short swords were flying one after another toward the Black Dragon like a meteor shower. At last, the Black Dragon was beginning to think that it was hard to beat Bakjangsu. At this time, the Black Dragon was somewhat puzzled about that of short swords flying consecutively toward itself. Bakjangsu did not miss this good chance. He stroked straight on the fire sword of the Black Dragon. In the end, that fire sword was cut off with sounding a clang and fell to the ground. The Black Dragon that could not endure more ran away to the East Sea with setting up its tail. When Bakjangsu met the princess again at the summit of the mountain Backdu, that hole was full of water and was about to overflow the side of the great pond. Nowadays we call that pond the Cheonji, which means the heaven pond. Bakjangsu and the princess had the Black Dragon could not stop the streams of the mountain Backdu again. In order to do that, they had been living in the crystal palace which they had built in the Cheonji.